Hey, what's up guys? In this video we will implement this view Firebase authentication. So we will create this simple form, but this form will have two modes, register mode and login mode. By default it will be on login mode. We can also change its mode, and we can first we can register our user. So let's try to register our user, and let's try to the password and register our user. So our user has been registered, and as you can see, this is the email we will fetch the from the response, and the state of our form will be persistent. What I mean by persistent is, even if I reload it, our user is still signed in, and I can sign out as well. And if I reload it, our user has been signed out, and I can use the same user to reload it. And now our user, as you can see, has been logged in, and we will not use any library to persistent state. We will only focus mainly on Firebase and Vue.js. So let's start it. Okay, so I have created this blank new Vue.js project, and it's look like this, but it has a lot of unnecessary files. So let's first delete that files. And so coming to source and components, and we will only keep this the welcome.view file, and we will delete all the other files. So let's delete them, and let's unselect this first and delete them. And coming to the welcome.view, let's remove them, as we have deleted all of them, and I think there are 5 of time this component used. So let's remove it, and let's save it, and let's remove this as well, and let's remove this as well. And now let's reload it and checking for any console errors. So our this is our blank Vue.js project. So now first we need to set up Firebase with our Vue.js project. So I have signed up for this firebase.google.com, and it directs me to this window. So now we need to create our project. So I will click on this add project, and here I will name my project View Firebase Authentication, and let's click on this continue. And we don't need Google Analytics for this. Let's intro create project, and it is creating a new project for us. And meanwhile, coming to our view project, and here inside this src, let's create a new file called uh, let's close this, let's come in this, and let's create a new file firebase.js. And here this file will contain all the Firebase configurations. So click on this continue. Okay, so our project has been created, and now I will click on this web tab, and here we need to register our app, and we need to name it as well. So I will keep the name same, View Firebase Auth, and let's register the app. Okay, so now our app has been registered, and it tells us to do two things. First, we need to install this library in our project. So let's copy it, and let's commit in our project, and open the new terminal, and let's install this library. Okay, and now let's copy this as well, and let's paste it. And if you are working on a real world project, make sure you add all these configurations in your environment file. And now we need to import one more thing from this Firebase library, and that is import get auth from firebase slash auth. Okay, and we will also export it. So let's export it as well. Export const auth is equal to get auth, and we need to pass this app instance to this function. Okay, oops, my bad. Let's write this as well. Okay, so now our configurations are done, but we need to do one more thing in Firebase dashboard. So let's come to here and continue to console, and now we need to enable authentication in Firebase as well. So click on this authentication. Okay, and click on this get started, and here we have many types of authentication that Firebase provides, but in this tutorial, in this project, we will use this email and password. And in email and password we also have two different authentications. One is with email and password, other one is with only email link. uh, it is a passwordless sign in. It send us the email link in our email, and user will be able to log in directly, but in this project we will only use this. So let's enable this and hit on save. Okay, so now this authentication has been enabled in our project. Okay, so now coming back to our main file, this is the welcome.view, and let's first import auth from the red slash firebase.js. Okay, and along with it we need to import few more things, and that things we will use for we will use for registering the user, we will use for login the user, we will use for sign in the user as well. So let's import create user with email and password, sign in with email and password, and sign out from fire firebase slash auth. Okay, and after that, coming to this template, and we'll create a new div, and here we will create our form, and on submit I will create this submit method, and it will call that. So I'll call submit.prevent to prevent the reload on form submit, and here it will have two fields, and first one will be email and second one will be password. So let enter type is equal to email, and its place holder will be enter email, and it will model to, we also need to bind our data. So I will create this data property, and it will be an ref property. So let's import the ref from view. Okay, and here it will contain email and password, and by default both will be null, and here data.email. Okay, and let's add div, so it will be display as block, and let's duplicate it, and this time it will be password and password and password. Okay, and finally we will have this button, its type will be submit. Okay, and here, okay, so now here we will have two modes for our form. First mode will be login, and second mode will be register, and by default our form mode will be the login. So I will create this new variable mode, and its default value will be login, and user will be able to change the mode by clicking this text. So let's come here, and let's create a new div. And here first, if mode equal login, then it should display login, otherwise it should display register. Okay, and here we'll do this kind of the same thing. Let's copy it and let's paste it. And if the mode is in the login, so what we can do is not a user register, and here already a user login. Okay, and here on click on this, it will change the mode, it will toggle the mode simply. And where I will create the new function for this, it will be toggle mode. And here you need to pass it the value. And okay, so if mode equal login, then we will pass it register, otherwise we will pass it login. So let's first create this function toggle mode, and it's accept one parameter, and it will change simply the value of mode with this value. Okay, and now we'll create this. Now oops, this should be function, and now we'll create submit button. This but this function will call on by clicking on this button. Okay, so let's okay, so now this function will also be dynamic, so we need to create two more function, and both functions will be asynchronous. Async function login, and it will accept two params, email and password. And let me copy this and paste this, and this time it will be register, and it will also accept two params. And here in our submit button, let's create two variables. First one will be email, and here we'll simply assign it the email value, and second one will be password, and we will assign it data dot value dot password. And here if mode dot value equal login, then we will call the login with these two values, email and password. Else we will let's copy it, but this time we'll call register method. Okay, and here, so what we are going to do is we will first implement this register function. So this will be an asynchronous function, and here this will be an asynchronous function, and we will call this function create user with email and password. And here we will pass it three variables. Our first one will be the auth instance that we have imported, this auth instance, and the second one will be email, and third one will be the password. Okay, and it will return us a promise. So let's receive nothing for it for now. And on catch on error, we can display some sort of notification to user, but for now I will simply display it. Okay, so let's hit save, and we got some errors. Okay, I think this is wrong, and let's check it. Okay, we got the error again. at the rate import. Let's do one thing. Firebase const.get.of, and but this error should not relate to this. It is some other error. Okay, let me restart the server and let's check it for now. Okay, we still got the error. uh, iterates firebase slash auth, and this. Okay, my bad, this error is occur here. Let's save it and let's try. Okay, now the error has been resolved. Okay, so now by default our form is in the login mode, and we can also change it to register mode, as you can see. And let's try first to register a user, and but let's do one thing. let's first let's first here see. Let's just pass the response here and see what it's returned to us. Let's log in and let's pass it test@gmail.com. Make sure you pass at least 6 characters because it will otherwise give the error. Wait a minute, and our API has been called, and let's see. And as you can see, it returns us the new user, and it returns us this response. And here in this user tab, this is our email. Okay, so let's do one thing here. Let's create the user ref. Okay, and let's coming back to here, let's display this user, and we will only display this user if this user is not null. And by default, let's just set it to null, and we will only display if it's not null. And here we will display its email, user.email, and we will add a condition here because we by default it will null and it will not have email, so it will cause error, and it will help us to prevent that error. And here after that, I will make a new button, and by clicking on, we'll call sign out method. I will simply display sign out and sign out. Okay, and now we will import one more thing from firebase slash auth, and it will be on auth state change. Okay, and what this function will do is it will preserve our state persistent. Okay, if I set the user from here, our user state will not be persistent, but that function will help us to make our state persistent. So what we will do here is, as soon as our user has been created, so this function will automatically be called, and it will set two parameters, and for the second it will return us this callback. And here let's set it to grant user, and here user dot value is equal to grant user. Okay, and now, yep, okay, so let us try to register the our user once again. So as you can see, as soon as I have implemented this on auth state change, our this user has come here. Okay, and even now, even if I reload it, it should stay here because this is persistent. As you can see, it is persistent. Now first let's implement this login function. So it will also be an asynchronous function, and this will be sign in with email and password, and the params are basically the same. In fact, this whole function is same, so let's copy it, let's paste it, and let's change it to sign in with email and password. Okay, and finally let's implement this sign out function, this function. So let's come here, and it will also be an asynchronous function, and let's uh, sign out this and await sign out, and here we need to pass this auth. Okay, and it will also return us the response, and also in case of error I will simply display the error. Okay, and simply display it. Okay, and let's first reload it and first try to sign out. Okay, and now reload it. As you can see, our user has been signed out, and by default our form is in login state. So let's try to login the user this time with the uh, previous values that we have used to register the user, and let's try to login, and coming to network tab and try to login, and as you can see we got 200, and this is the response we get, and it also return us some additional parameters like refresh token. We can use this token to refresh our token again and again instead of login the user again. So now let's try to log in again. Okay, so as you can see our user has been persistent, our state has been persistent. So thank you very much guys, this was our authentication tutorial in Firebase. So this was a simple tutorial, I hope you guys like it. Thank you very much.